I'm Ron Kessler for Newsmax TV, and we're here with Senator Cornyn. Very glad to be with you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks for making the time. We had Eric Holder and Janet Napolitano saying that they're against the Arizona law on immigration, but yet they said they had not read the law. What does that tell you about the competency of the administration?
Well, they're not doing their homework, and I would think the first thing that a person in a position of responsibility like that would care about is getting the facts right. I mean, we're all entitled to our opinions, right? But we're not entitled to our own set of facts. And here, clearly, they were engaged more in political spin than they were in actually understanding what the law said. And in fact, the words on the page refuted their characterization of what the Arizona law was all about.
Do you have questions about competency generally of the administration?
Well, I didn't support Eric Holder's nomination. I had concerns about his role in some of the pardons that President Clinton administered, and his failure to step up and say that they should not have been, those pardons should not have taken place. So I'm feeling better about that no vote all the time. Well, and I think, you know, what we've seen is more of a commitment to an ideology rather than a commitment to competence or actually fixing problems, ranging from the failed stimulus bill, which they insist is working even though it failed their own test of keeping unemployment under 8%, and this healthcare monstrosity that they simply defied the wishes of the American people and forced it through Congress using this extraordinary budget reconciliation process, and took the had the audacity, let me put it that way, had the audacity to say, you will come to love it. And I read now they're getting ready to spend $50 million trying to sell it because the American people don't love it. The more they found out about it, the more they find out that it's just more runaway spending and reckless accumulation of debt.
And last week we had the jobs report, only 41,000 private sector jobs created. Right. And apparently part of that is just the general unease within the business community about what the future holds. What do you make of that?
The jobs report was sent the stock market on its heels, and I think that was a sort of an impartial judgment of what those numbers reflected. But it's part of the problem is not only does the administration not really know how to facilitate the creation of jobs in the private sector, it's pretty good at creating jobs in the government as we see, by creating more government positions, by growing the size of the government. But I think a lot of it, not just the policies, but just the political uncertainty of what comes next. If you're a small businessman or businesswoman, you'd be, I think, crazy to create new jobs or to start a new business not really knowing what sort of financial and regulatory burdens would be imposed on you, whether it's the Environmental Protection Agency regulating greenhouse gases now because they can't pass their cap and trade bill through Congress, whether you use the FCC to regulate the internet because you can't get that passed through Congress. I think what we're seeing is a kind of overreach and audacity on the part of the administration that you'd have to attribute to ideology, because I really can't see a rational explanation otherwise.
And then we had the flotilla incident last week, and in general, Obama seems to be tilting against Israel. What do you think is behind that?
Well, it's pretty clear to me that flotilla was a premeditated provocation. Israel has every right to defend itself and to blockade the shipment of weapons through into Gaza, where Hamas, which is a foreign terrorist organization, so designated since 1995 by Bill Clinton. Israel has every right to examine those shipments to make sure that contraband and weapons are not smuggled into Gaza and used by Hamas to kill innocent Israelis. But you're right, the president has been, I think, very passive against our enemies, which only emboldens them. And among our friends, he has seemed to be, almost if not hostile, at least neutral, and treat our enemies in some respects better than our friends and allies.
And the last question, it seems that his attitude about terrorism is exemplified by using euphemisms to describe terrorists. Man-caused disasters and violent extremists, which could be anybody, it could be Ku Klux Klan. What does that mean?
Well, here again, I think you see a triumph of ideology over a rational examination of the facts, and exemplified not only by this man-caused disasters nomenclature that the Secretary of Homeland Security came up with. I think what it is sort of a willful blindness to the threat of Islamic extremism. You probably saw my friend Lamar Smith in the House of Representatives Judiciary Committee question Eric Holder about Islamic extremism, and he seemed almost defiant at acknowledging that actually exists. And we see him persisting, and this administration persisting in really wrong-headed decisions like trying Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in civilian court in Manhattan, something that Attorney General Holder says is still on the table as a possibility, closing down Guantanamo Bay and instead wanting to subject the American people to these very dangerous folks, and also reading Miranda rights to people like the Christmas Day bomber. Really, you can tell, confusing the job of law enforcement in investigating and punishing criminal acts after they've happened, and the very different and important role of gaining intelligence and preventing terrorist attacks from occurring in the first place. They seem to only understand about half of that equation.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate this.
Thanks, Ron.
I'm Ron Kessler for Newsmax TV.